my guy. So, guys, Mr. Troy, what's going
Man,
on?
it's
Tell me, how's your
going,
day
man.
going,
You know,
sir?
it's like this. First of all, I see a lot of folks that I know, Corey Collins, Lydia. I see some people online. I'm glad y'all were able to
Hey,
to um
hey,
to
hey,
join us
hey.
this evening. But everything is going well, man. Like people say, I'm too blessed to be stressed, man. We got to get on down with this thing, man. I'm getting loose. I done stretched out.
Yes,
We're
sir.
gonna make this thing happen, baby. Let's get it. People always wonder why when I speak, I rhyme a lot. But I grew up in a generation where, first of all, we did a lot more talking than texting because we didn't have that, right? So we did a lot of talking, and honestly, everything you said had to have some kind of motivational message to it, because when things were a little bit difficult, man, everything you say has to have a rhythm, a cadence, a message, all the above, and don't spend all day because anybody gonna listen to you all day. So let's just let this thing fly, you know what I mean? And so when you hear these people rhyming and you're like, man, this is the original lyricist before hip hop came out. It's that kind of thing. So for me, I love it when I hear some of our previous generation, the storytellers of our generation, drop this knowledge on us. But what they did is they created fire that we fanning right now. We like, yo, let's keep this fire lit, baby. We can't let it extinguish it. Let's make it a little brighter.
And let me tell you, when it comes to lighting fires, when it comes to lighting up hope, and this is the big thing. When it comes to reigniting fires, I think that you are the definition of that big time. So let's get into it. First of all, I do want to say this. Guys, we see your comments. I want to let you know that we see you. So with it, if you guys have
Yes.
a comment, if you guys have a question, or a certain thing that you would like us to talk about, this ain't about us. This is about how can we bring value to not only to each other while we're
That's
talking, but
right.
the community as well. So with that being said,
Yes,
drop
sir.
them down and then we'll go from there. But Mr. Troy, I got a question. Tell the people where you
Woo,
from, what you
man, let's
do, and how
see
you
where I'm
do it.
from. See, there's from and there's from. Where I'm from is I'm from Riverhead, New York, Long Island, Strong Island, East End. It's so far out there. People always ask me, where you at? I say exit 73. That means I'm out there so far that the grass gets real green and the concrete is limited, that kind of thing. But the attitude is always strong. I got the NYC attitude with a little country. So it's like having a glass of sweet tea in New York City, that kind of thing. But anyway, but I live in Atlanta now, and I've been down here for a minute. I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee for a while, but I'm at the Ron Clark Academy, which is a school that's more than a school. We teach the kids on campus, but we influence education worldwide by doing a lot of professional development for educators. And a lot of people have joined us and really understand that it's not just about what you say, it's but how you feel about what you do, and that kind of thing. So that's what I do. And then, you know, I started a company called Troy Kemp Speaks because I used to be the head of the executive director of the National Center for the Development of Boys. And I used to share messages, research strategies on how to help boys have more success without added stress, and really understanding the minds of boys and men to a point where you can use more Tai Chi and less Kung Fu, because Kung Fu is just brick
Right?
on brick kind of thing, and Tai Chi is using the force like Yoda. We got to move people in a way that they need to be moved, and we can have less friction and better results. But again, I'm thankful. Meet a brother like you. You know, we were down there, Great American Speak Off. We like horses in the race, but they're horses in the
Yes,
race.
sir.
They put these things on the side so you can't look at the other horse. But we ain't had to. We took them off, and we said, listen, we down here trying to win, but we really trying to connect. And I'm glad that you and I connected, because I was like, this brother right here, he don't sleep. This brother right here sleep. When he get up, his shoes already laced up. You don't even put them on. They already on. And you get up and you go, but more importantly, you do the work. You down there in the trenches. There are a lot of people who have data and have information, but they're not accessible. I tell people, if you want people to drink out of your favorite glasses, don't put them on the top shelf, put them on the bottom shelf so people can reach them. We're about making sure that the knowledge that we have and the information that we have is reachable, so people can use it for their betterment and not just look at it through glass window. I ain't about that lifestyle. We're going to get dirty. We're going to get messy. We're going to get sweaty so we can get better. That's my thing.
Let me tell you guys something. And as y'all already see, for those that are here, I want y'all to drop some, not even hearts, because this man is spitting fire. So make sure
Yes,
you
he
drop
is.
some fire emojis in here, because like I said, I was so excited. But not only that, but it's all about getting into the trenches, right? A lot of times what happens is that individuals, when they grow up, they get up and go away, right? But they don't ever go back and bring those people with you. But one thing that I see, that not only have you got to the point where, you know, you're doing great things for young men, you're doing great things for educators, but not only that, but you travel a little bit.
Man,
Now,
listen,
tell me some of the
listen,
states that
and
you've
here's
been.
the
You
interesting
travel a
thing
little bit.
about travel. You know, I remember growing up where we used to pack the car. Travel was get your six behinds in that back seat. That's right, 6 people, no seatbelt. And we had a big car, but we was packed up in that joint with our luggage and some foods because you wasn't stopping at the store, none of that. So packing was that. Airport, what airport? You know what I mean? So now to get to fly is a blessing, but to get to go to cities, I mean, I've been out the state of Washington. I've been in California. I've been in Michigan. Actually did a huge national conference on the state of boys in Jamaica. So I was in Kingston, Montego Bay. People like, oh, you down there with your feet in the sand. Man, I was in there chopping wood, bro. We was out there making it happen. So Kingston, Jamaica, been to Florida, Georgia, Texas. I've been working with people in all 50 states. That's the crazy thing, because one of the things is I've been traveling to them. Like this summer, I'm probably going about 20, 25 places. And I don't get tired because I'm inspired, man. And I ain't walking. You know what I'm saying? I make sure I eat good. I lay on a good pillow when I get in the hotels, but I make sure I'm ready to give it to them because, you know, at the end of the day, my main goal is to be tired and proud at the end of the day. I want to be tired. I want to be proud. Come on.
Wait, hold on. Yeah. Hit him with that again. You want to be what?
I want to be proud. Those are my 2 main things. And people, a lot of people set goals that, how do you measure them? How attainable are they? But, you know, tired means I gave everything I had, and proud, I didn't just do it for myself. I did something every single day that helped move the needle for someone else. And that means if I didn't have an interaction with somebody, I'm going to the grocery store. I'm going to find somebody, and I'm going to help push their cart. I'm going to move my car so they can park in. I'm going to do something, man. I'm going to hold the door open. But I'm going to do something that lifts others in some way. And you can't tell me there's no opportunity, because as soon as you wake up in the morning, you can do it for the people who may live in your place, but you can also go out there in that space where you don't have to do it. And that's when it's even more powerful. When it's not something that you have to do, you do it because it's right to do or that you want to do it.
And the wonderful thing is that it's in your heart to do. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're a talented speaker, but there's a big difference between
man, there you go.
And gifted, right? When you're talented, right? When you're talented, it's something that you kind of have to work up. But when you're gifted, it's a natural God-given ability that you've been given. And when you're naturally gifted to be able to speak and impact people, there's one of my favorite sayings that says this, is that when you're naturally gifted to be able to speak to people, I always tell people this. I'm like, look, you may not be where you want to be, or it may not look like what it's going to be, but always keep this in mind, that you're under temporary construction.
Now, see, listen, man, you out here interviewing me, talking to me, but look at how you dropping them gems, boy. Hey, man, this is the jewelry store right here. This is the jewelry store. All kinds of diamonds and pearls and all kinds of things.
Y'all, let me tell you.
Hey, man, listen, I don't even care how many people on this live, because we're going to have to run back some of this, man. Because this one of them recipes, man, you got to keep this this restaurant open 24 hours, baby. Because you're dropping some knowledge, man. But it's really true. You know, I don't care what people celebrate, but last time we celebrated Christmas. And the last time I know, we didn't take our gifts and not unwrap them and just throw them in the trash can. We unwrapped them jokers. We were so hyped about it, we saved the paper for a minute. So what I'm trying to say is that when God gives you a gift, you know what? You can try to walk past it all you want. But for me, I wasn't planning on being an educator. I was planning on being a doctor. I was planning on being anything but what I'm doing right now. But I had a good friend once that said, my man, we call him Shoebox, but his name is Lawrence Kevin Morrison. He said, Kemp, man, you got a gift, man. You are talking to people. You're a speaker. You need to be a public speaker. You need to be a motivational speaker. And I was like, man, I'm just trying to get myself moving right now. What you talking about everybody else? But he says, you know what? Look behind you, man. People following you. And they say that's the definition of leadership, man. Because if you're leading, or if you think you're leading, and ain't nobody following you, you ain't doing nothing but taking a walk, right? But if you walk and people following you, and you didn't even, because leadership is not about your position in line. But if you already walking and people behind you and they're following you, then that means that you got a gift that you need to use that to help elevate the lives of others, because people trust you, man. And people trust you, you got to move differently. It's that real.
Hey, and the biggest thing is that, guys, I just want to make sure we reintroduce, guys. We're talking with the one and only Mr. Troy Kemp. I actually put a pin down below.
That's my guy.
Hey, Corey Collins.
Yeah.
Hey, Corey Collins. Yo, I appreciate him because he made sure that he had the website on there, and I had to pin it on there. I'm like, look, make sure y'all go to TroyKempsSpeaks.com. Y'all check him out and everything because, like, y'all already
man,
see.
This dude, Corey Collins, you check him out too because he's one of the best reading teachers in the nation, and he knows, ain't nothing like knowing that there's a problem, but also knowing that you have a solution and a root cause solution, man. Ain't no need of treating the leaves on the tree. You got to get to the root, right? We out here, we dealing with leaves. We got to get to the root, and we've been out here in education and even parenting, man. We dealing with leaves, man. We got to get to the root cause because we're getting the same results. We act like we change. Look, I play ball. You run the same plays, you get the same yards, you get the same result. You got to run some different plays, which means you got to upgrade your expertise to a level that you can serve a little differently. Same recipe, same results, man. So we moving it. Hey, Corey Collins does that too. Come on,
sir. Hey, and by the way, Corey, like I said, this ain't an us thing. This is a everybody thing. So, Corey, if you want to jump in, brother, if you in the room, just press that request button and get down here because I would love to definitely.
Come on in the house.
Hey, Corey, I'm saying, don't listen to him. I'm saying, get in this room, man. Hey, bet you won't, right? But here, when you were talking about we're dealing with the roots and not so much the leaves and stuff, that kind of gets us into something that we were talking about behind the scenes, being resilient. We just got out of a pandemic. We just got, and this is the thing. We as a nation, we as a world just got out of a pandemic, but some people were in a pandemic before the pandemic started.
Come on.
Right? Some people were in a pandemic in their mind. Some people were locked away in their mind. Some people were locked away just emotionally and physically and stuff. So in order to, as we walked out of physical and mental pandemics and stuff, what are some of the tips that you would have on how to stay resilient when you're coming out of your own personal pandemic?
The number one thing is what we learned from the pandemic. First thing is upgrade your expertise. We got to figure out where you understand, first of all, yourself. A lot of times we're looking externally to try to figure out how to fix something and how to change something. Study yourself, right? Even when it comes to like what you're doing today. Oh, I waste a lot of time. You know what? The last time you wrote down what you did during the day, turn around and write down, like, I did this at 3 o'clock, I did this or whatever. So you can kind of watch your path. It's funny because when you're a little kid, your mama kind of watches you and sees what you do. Go, boy, you funky and junky. You're like, no, I'm not. I don't see nothing behind me. Well, she picked it up, so you don't see it anymore. And that's what happens. So when you think about your personal expertise on who you are, and then also externally, what are people saying and doing when it comes to dealing with the challenges that you have? Then the other thing is this, the big thing with being resilient is also optimism. It's kind of interesting because if you are hopeful, hope is the number one determinant in success moving forward. And so when you ask yourself, are you a hater or do you help make people greater? And this is what I'm saying. If you're waking up talking about what's wrong with something, the first thing you want to think about is what's right with it. See, you got some people that'll wake up in the morning and say, I ain't got nothing to wear. But then that's not true. You don't have nothing to wear that you like. Because if you say I ain't got nothing to wear, then you're going to be butt naked walking down the street. That ain't the truth. So what you got to do is you got to get to the balcony. Right. When you're looking at the world from the dance floor, it always looks crowded and it's always hot and funky and sweaty.
You better stop. Wait. Time out. You better get out of that book. Get out of that book. I just read that book. The book, what is it?
I ain't never read the book, but we say the same thing. You see what I mean? It's the common denominator. We learned about the least common denominator in math. The least common denominator when it comes to hope, but in terms of movement. Again, the dance floor is crowded. When you get to the balcony, the room looks different. And so sometimes you got to look at yourself from the balcony. If you got to take a picture of yourself and then zoom out and look at what else is in the room, because you may not see it from your perspective. That's the kind of thing. So being able to shift your perspective and understand, that's why it's very important to write down 3 things that you're grateful for as soon as possible. Write them down. Don't say them. Write them down, because when you write, you manifest it in a different way. Second thing is you want to make sure that you take a negativity fast. That means even social media. I know y'all on live right now, but take that social media and the rest, even songs that make you feel like something, because a good love song can break your heart too now, right? So put that over to the side. Don't even listen to that. Don't turn on the news, because 90% of the news is negative, because that's why everybody's watching it, because they want to get hyped. And sure enough, don't look at the shade room for just a minute. Just wait a minute, because something bad doesn't happen to somebody. The point is, park the negativity to the side. Just like you would take a diet on certain foods if you don't want to gain weight or you want to whatever. Your diet, your mental diet is more important than your physical diet. So be very careful about your diet. Also, use gratitude to think about the things that you're grateful for. So yeah, you can walk over and say these pants don't fit, but at least you got some pants to put on, right? So let's rock with that right there.
Nice.
Then the third thing you do is stop moving for a second and take 5 minutes and just be outside and just close your eyes and think about what you hear. I don't care if it's traffic. But if you can think about what kind of cars are driving by. Because here's what's happening. If you think about the cars driving by, you're not thinking about the pain in your life at the moment. See, you have shifted your focus to something that doesn't require any kind of work in the same way. So you shift your focus.
Yeah.
And then the last thing you do is, again, do something for someone that is helpful. Do it because you want to do it, not because you have to. So if you make your kids breakfast, that's awesome. But go help somebody that's not related to you. Find somebody. And I'm telling you, that gratitude will change your attitude. That's how it goes. So again, it'll make you be a little bit more hopeful. And when it makes you more hopeful, then you're going to keep walking. Because and here's the thing. I know, Caleb, but you run it like this. If you got faith, that's another thing. You sit down with the book. Look, the best book ever written was the Bible in my life. Now, I don't care what your faith is on the outside, but the thing about it is you walk by faith and not by sight, because if I only stepped on the stones that I could see, I would still be standing still. I had to trust other people to say, just take a step right here. I promise you, you could keep moving. I had to trust my faith to say, this is your calling, bro. Keep moving in that direction, because that's the way you need to be. I don't care what your resume says. I got a different one that you can't see. And so for me, again, I try to practice things that are positive. Get on a positivity campaign. Run for CEO or president of your life. Do that thing. Come on.
Now, let me tell you, I love that you said be the CEO of your life, because a lot of people, they get it mixed up. They think that in order to be a CEO, you have to be a CEO of a company. But someone told me, they said it like this. They say, no, you are a CEO. You are the CEO of the company that you keep. Now, when they said that, I was like, oh my goodness, because the thing is that if you want to experience expansion in your life, if you want to experience increase in your life, if you want to experience the best version of you in your life, keep the right company.
Come on.
Hire the right people in your life and fire the wrong people in your life. You have to make executive decisions for yourself in order to get to a point where it's like, look, my company is going to be in good places. My mind space is going to be in good places. You have to do that. And just like you said, in being resilient, sometimes in order to be a good CEO, it's not what you can do for yourself.
Listen to me, man. Listen, the first habit of highly effective people, I don't care what other books you read, is to be proactive and less reactive. And I tell people, if you play offense, then you're going to dictate the pace of things. I was a defensive player. I was a defensive back in college. And one of the things about the defensive back, depending on how I lined up, that's going to give them opportunity over here and take away opportunity over here. So I can influence the route that this person's running, or even whether the quarterback thinks that kid's going to be open just by how I'm standing. So my stance, I ain't even moved yet, man, but I'm standing in the stance and I'm shading them this way. I dare you to run out here. You run out here, it's my ball, baby. I guarantee you, I dare you. But that's the same thing in life. Get your stance right. Get your feet right. From the game, from day one, get your feet right, get your stance right, get your plan right, and then move on with execution. But we out here standing flat-footed on our heels and wonder why we keep playing dodgeball. We out here, instead of throwing the ball, we dodging them all day. Come on, man.
Hey, and the biggest thing is that, and once again, guys, we have Troy Kemp in the building. If you guys want to make sure that you follow him, it is
Instagram.
What's your Instagram handle? Make sure you hit it for him.
Kemp Sr. If I can't type it in here because I got my stuff all behind here, but at TF Kemp Sr. Yeah, I got a TJ Kemp, my son. You can follow him if you want to, but you're going to end up somewhere else. I'm just joking. That's my boy right there.
Well, I was getting ready to say, if anybody's in the chat, if y'all can put in Mr. Troy's Instagram,
man, drop my IG up in there.
Make
Anybody
sure.
at TF Kemp Sr. And I know I'm on your channel. So some people are like, how can I get in there? I was like, get on Caleb Wesco right here. We good. We good. But yeah, man, go ahead.
Get in. And
I see some lacrosse players.
I was just acknowledging that. I saw Jason in the building.
But like I said, we're going to chop up this content because we're going to start probably doing this more, because people just got to have real conversations. And you guys, if you want to, you can throw a question, you can throw a topic. Y'all can send me a topic. You can send Caleb a topic or something you want us to discuss, because I believe in being relatable and reliable. We're going to drop and get the data, get the things that you need to know, but we're going to say it in a way that needs to be said. Because, you know, at the end of the day, that's the thing. Sometimes people just sitting there waiting for the moment. They go, boy, what you said, touch my soul. You moved my spirit today. And I said, boy, that's +1 right there. Tired and proud, I'm checking the boxes right now. Let's move it. So if we can move you right now, let's do it.
Hey, and talking about movement, right? My next question for you: how can people effectively move from where they are to where they want to be? Because a lot of times what happens is that we get so stuck in what's currently happening. There's a quote that says, if things aren't going right, don't downgrade your goal to match your current reality. It's time to upgrade your conviction to match your destiny. Some people are convinced that this is just where it stops.
God,
some
man,
people are
that's
convinced.
the thing, man. It's like the Flintstones. You got the shoes sticking out the bottom of the car, man. You holding yourself up. Here's the thing. Again, there's 3 ways of getting things done. You either have the motivation, the will. You have the motivation, and motivation is temporary because motivation is based on emotions. That's why when you get up in the morning, you go, I don't feel like it. Well, or I feel like it. I feel like working out. I don't feel like working out. It's a sunny day. Those are the people who will run when it's sunshine and walk when it's raining. That's the thing. Now, if your life depended on it, where your health depended on it, someone says, hey, you got to stop eating whatever the food is because you're diabetic now, sugar. You just found out, well, you'll stop eating sugar that day. But if you tried to stop eating sugar yesterday, it wouldn't happen because you weren't motivated because it was an intrinsic thing that you cared about enough. So that can go back and forth. And then you have willpower. And some people are just born with natural willpower. I mean, they can just get up and go. They could shovel dirt. They could do whatever and not even think about it. They're like, man, I'm just going to do it. But the challenge is willpower has a capacity. It's like your mama. When your mama says, you getting on my last nerve, that means you're at the end of her willpower. There's probably 2 strains left. There's a capacity. So
come on
you
now.
better not get to that limit because it's going to get hot up in the crib. But then you have habits. And for me, what I do is here's the goal that you want. The question is, what are the smaller goals that you have to get to before you get to that one? So what habits can I put in place to make sure that I'm going to stick to it and hold myself accountable? Because habits, it's sort of 2 things. One, habits are things that you just need to do enough where you don't have to think about it because you don't have to be motivated. I don't have to be motivated to make my bed anymore. Back in the day, I did. I even had to be motivated to tie my shoes. But I've tied my shoes enough that I don't think about it anymore because it's a habit. But then the things that I can't form the habit with right away, I get an accountability partner. So, for example, if you want to work out in the morning, there's your goal to be in shape. And I'm just saying, just from a healthy standpoint, you ain't trying to necessarily be swollen out of control or nothing. But the deal is, what I would do is find somebody else who has a similar goal. And then I would say, we're going to meet at this place. I'm going to send them a calendar invite. I'm going to put it on repeat. And then I'm going to set a time, not just Wednesday, but Wednesday at this time. And then I'm going to put an accountability partner to invite them. So I got somebody to remind me. If I'm not feeling it, somebody else, the chances of 2 people not feeling it is less than 1 person. Yeah. So you got to put somebody else in the room, virtually or physically, that will have a different, will be more motivated at the time. So again, and then your target, you can't, listen, man, you can't find a target you ain't never seen. Oh, I just want to be better. I want to have more money than I had yesterday. What does that mean? You want $1 more? You want $100 more? What exactly is that? And what is your talent? But a lot of people be running from their talent because they go, I want to do this. But what if God has told you you are amazing at that? Right?
Come on.
Come on now. You got to lean in with that, man, because that's what I'm saying. I'm in education, and I never, motivational speaking, education, all this. Man, I coached lacrosse for 30 years and never played it as a child. Right? If somebody had told me that I would make a career out of lacrosse and help change lives out of lacrosse and get some guys to do things that they would have never tried in their lives. And I don't mean just playing on the field. I use lacrosse to get boys to wake up on time to make sure they didn't miss class, right? I mean, accountability partners. I said, we're meeting at 7:59 dressed, and we eating breakfast together because it's important to have a healthy meal because y'all oversleep and y'all late for class. But we are not going to be late for class. That's the point. I created a we.
I love what
we
you just said.
Let's change it from I to we and us. you reach your goals faster. Come on.
And the other thing is that what you're saying as an educator, because I have a family full of educators. I got teachers all around my family, and the biggest thing is that teachers sometimes forget. Right? I'm not saying that it slips, but sometimes when you go through that period of burnout, you forget that you are actually molding the next president. You are molding the next author. You are molding the next CEO and stuff like that. But when it's not just the student coming into your classroom, it's like, no, that's an impacted life that's coming into our classroom. And then when you look at it in a certain way, that's like, look, Jerome, you getting on my nerves. But you know what? It's my responsibility to take you from where you are to where you are.
I got one for you, man. You just hit me
like you said,
Listen,
talk to me.
It's for the person that says,
Come on.
Jerome, you getting on my nerves. But when I play ball, that's the exact same thing I was saying in my head about my coach. That was the best. That was the best. If you have a personal trainer, you're saying the same thing to them. You getting on my nerves. See, here's the thing. The analogy is that person that's getting on your nerves is making you better, right? That teacher who made you do one more, that coach that made you run one more lap or have to shoot free throws at the end where you done ran all these up and down and back on the court. Now, y'all got to make 80% of your free throws.
Yes.
Man, you getting on my nerves. But guess what you're doing? You're getting me ready for game day. So the game that you play, the human beings, the kid that gets on my nerves, my whole book is going to be about people who got on my nerves. But how I flipped the script and utilized what they taught me, you know, things that kids taught me about life that books couldn't teach me. Come on, man. The people who got on your nerves, right?
Right. You know what?
Come on.
I got something for you. Ready? Because now we're doing speaker tennis right now, right? The people that are getting, ready? Here we go. The people that are getting on your nerves will also give you a new feeling as well. Something that you've never felt before. A lever that you never touched before. An excitement that you never. When people get on your nerves, there's a saying that says this: be careful of constructive criticism. Constructive criticism doesn't hurt you. It hurts your ego. See, you want to know the truth, but your ego is scared of. When people get on your nerves, when people get on your nerves, I'm just coming in and saying, look, I'm only coaching you because I want you to feel new money. I want to get on your nerves because I want you to feel what greatness feels like. I want you to feel what excellence feel like. I'm getting on your nerves because I'm going to give you a new feeling that once you feel it, you can never forget it. Take a kid that didn't know 2 + 2. When you get on their nerves, what's 2 + 2? 6. No, let's do it again. What's 2 + 2? 7. No, I don't want to do it anymore. What's 2 + 2? 4. They can never forget it again. Once you got it, it's a new feeling. You could never forget it again.
That resonated with me too. The reason why you follow people who get on your nerves and come back tomorrow is because, one, you trust them. If you don't trust them, then you're not going to come back, right? See, you done paid for your personal trainer, so you trust them because you invested in them. And so the question is, you know, when you got that trust, that is crucial to growth. So people talking about how do you move? The question is, who do you trust? Yeah. See, you can't move without trust. See, when we used to play, right? You safe on base back in the day when we used to play tag. You on base, you safe, but you also can't go nowhere. Yeah. See, when you trust, you got to take a risk to be trust. Trust. When you trust somebody, you'll take a risk. And when you take the risk, you'll grow. Because the last time I checked, you don't put any more weight on the bar. I'll be in the weight room, and I'm not trying to get, you know, competition ready like when I used to play ball. So somebody asked me the other day, why don't you put more weight on the bar when you power clean? I said, I'm just trying to move the weight as quickly as I can. I don't care about putting more weight. I got to take the weight I have, and I can move it faster. Look, I don't need the iPhone 15 if I ain't even used everything I got in the 14. Come on, man. I'm going to wear the 14 out.
Facts.
And that's what I think that also people, when they look at lack of optimism and lack of hope, they have lack of perspective on what they have, right? I got features on this phone, and I'm ready to get a new one because somebody else got it. What we doing? Come on, man. We've learned to be dissatisfied with what we have, but then we dissatisfied with how to get what we want. And I'm like, well, that's a double. That's like, you know, what we doing? We on base now. We're going to sit here and be safe. So I'm glad people like you are out in this world because you teach people how to take the necessary risk and you build trust. And I'm thankful that people trust me. Look, folks, I wear something on my neck right here. You know, I was always wondering, the reason why I don't have a tattoo is because I thought about it. I said, I'm going to get a tattoo of. If I get a tattoo of something right now, is it going to get old? Is it going to get weird? Is it going to be something that's outdated? Because, you know, if I'd have got a tattoo back when I graduated high school, I'd have had to cover that thing up right now. Because it probably would have been some young lady's name. It would have been some girl's name. It would have been like, God dang, I got a bunch of scratches on my arm, just crossing out names all over my body. I ain't trying to do all that. But this is the North Star. And it's the North Star because I said, listen, man, you know, when people in the dark, when they look up and they saw that brightest star and it's fixed point and I know kind of where to go, I can start right here. I can move any other way, but at least I got an anchor point. And I wear this because in my life, that's the key thing. See, my faith has been my North Star. But also for me, I'm trying to be the North Star for somebody who at least trusts me. They may not be able to see far enough to see something else, but if they see me and they trust me, I must keep walking. I'm a navigator. I'm a navigator by birth. And if I know the course, you know the course. That's how it works.
And let me tell you, guys, once again, guys, we are with Mr. Troy Kemp. Y'all can go follow him. Mr. Hump Tay, he put it down there. Shout out to you, man. Make sure you guys go follow because, look, this is just a sample. Just a sample. He's just giving you a little sample of all the nuggets that he has. But y'all make sure you go follow. And also, if you have any questions or want us to talk about a certain topic, we have what we want to talk about. But we're gifted enough to be able to shift real quick, right? But with it, I love what you said, Mr. Troy, about the North Star. Because the thing is that when it's the darkest,
that's right,
that one thing. And when you look at that one thing, the thing about the North Star is that it doesn't matter where you go. It's at the same spot at all times. And for us as motivators,
that's right.
Hey, it doesn't matter where you at. You could be failing. I'm still going to tell you,
that's
hey,
right.
I see the best version of you. It's coming. It doesn't matter if it's delayed. It's not denied.
Come on.
Right? I see the best version of you. I see that you're going to new levels. You may not see it now, but look, I see exactly where you're going. And wherever you go, I'm still going to be right here saying the same thing, getting on your nerves.
Hey, you know what?
We were
talking, I know we were talking at one point offline, and we were sharing, like, when you think about your childhood and, you know, how that, when we talk about resilience, because I know some people on here, like, tell me about a little bit about resilience and how it's important and what you need to think about. And one of the things I shared with you, I said, you know, the hottest fire makes the strongest steel. And I shared that because, you know, when I was coaching, I to prepare my kids for game day, I tried to make practice as chaotic as possible. I wanted the water to boil so that they wouldn't overheat during the game day.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to hurt your feelings in practice on purpose. I'm letting you know I love y'all, but you trust me. I'm going to hurt your feelings now so when you're on the feeling, on the field, you will have stress inoculation. See, this is a quick.
Ooh, well, hold on. Bring that back. Bring that back.
You have
what?
You know, a lot of times, so here's the thing. You know, growing up the hard way, you know, we had some free lunch and food stamps, and we was rocking with it, right? I tell people all the time, you had that peanut butter, you spread it on the bread, it moved the bread gone because it stuck to the knife. You know, that kind of thing. So we was just with it like that. But here's the thing. You know, one time I was giving a talk in Alabama. I was doing a keynote, and there was probably 1,500 people in the room, maybe 2,000, I don't know. But I was right in the middle of my talk, and the power went out. And the power went out completely. It was pitch black in the room. And I'm 10 minutes in, and I'm doing a 45-minute presentation. And you know what I did? I took out my cell phone, and I just turned my light on my cell phone. Turn the light on. And when I turn the light on. And as soon as I turn the light on, I turn it on like this here. And I said, I turn it on, I put it on myself. I said, can y'all see me? And they said, yeah. I said, well, let's keep on going. And guess what? Everybody in the room turned their cell phone lights on. And when they turned their lights on, we kept that room lit up for 10 minutes until the power came back on. But here's the metaphor to it. And here's the what God does, right? I turn my light on. Everybody was going to sit in the dark and probably start complaining. But if you got somebody in the room, first of all, it ain't the first time the power done went out. The first time I faced adversity, stress inoculation. I put myself in uncomfortable positions because I grew up in it. And sometimes I got a couple more dollars. I can keep my air conditioning on. But sometimes I just turn it off and ride just to know that sweat ain't the enemy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I turned my light on, but it ate other people. It influenced them to go, you know what? I didn't realize I got a light too. So we were able to light the room. And that's the thing about young people and people that we serve. We got to keep our light like the North Star. Turn that thing on, man. And everybody's got light, right? They got some kind of light. It might be orange, blue, purple, whatever, but it's some kind of light. And my thing is somebody got to sometimes be the pilot light turn that thing on for them.
Yes.
If you can't do nothing else,
Mm-hmm.
light it up for somebody else, right? And so again, that's where growing up the hard way, that's why growing up as a migrant worker, growing up out in the fields, picking peppers and tomatoes and all, I hated that, using the outhouse, right? But it helped me because I realized and I appreciate the fact that my toilets work, that I can take a shower, that I don't have to put no flip-flops on to get in my shower.
Yeah.
You feel me? And I think some people, when they're sitting in a space in life and they go, I don't have the things that I want. One, we always got more than somebody else. Let's just be thankful for that. But the other thing is, what is that preparing you for? So you can appreciate it, right? Cold and hot is relative, right? It's hot. No, it's not. My kid's dad, I'm hungry. I said, well, let's wait an hour because then you'll be hungry. You just felt like you wanted to eat. In an hour, you'll be hungry.
Yeah, yeah. You just have some hunger pains.
About perspective. And I think it's our duty and responsibility to kind of help show that to some of our younger generation, because what they think is hot. Boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. They out here with their pot boiling at 80 degrees because they ain't never been to 100 yet. That's the difference. So that stress inoculation, that's a real thing. Pots, when they were back in the day, you were in class and you made those clay pots. What did they have to do to it after you glazed it? They put it in the kiln. They had to put it in the kiln where it was hot. And if the kiln wasn't hot enough, it doesn't cure and seal that pot. And now all of a sudden water gonna be leaking out of it and all of that. So the interesting thing is there's good stress and there's some other stuff that's more on the traumatic side. But the key is to have people who will mitigate it. We're always gonna have stuff that happens that's unpredictable, that's difficult. The question is, do you have people that you trust who love you, who can help you navigate that and understand it, especially when you're a young person? When my brother went to jail when I was younger, a lot of times people in my family be like, look, man, if he don't listen to nobody else, maybe he'll listen to the law. Well, that's one answer, but it's a multiple choice question, man. There's some other things out there, right? It ain't just that's the only answer. There's some other ones. Answers may vary, like they said in the back of the book. What it might mean,
well, hold on.
Answers
Say that again.
Answers
say that
may
again.
vary,
What?
right?
What may vary?
Because last time I checked, come on.
Your answers
Right,
may
answers
vary.
may vary.
That's
Yo, man, I need to
there.
write that down.
Hey,
That
drop
might
that
be
down.
it.
Answers
Ooh,
may
that's
vary.
deep right there. But what I was
That's a good one.
that when you really think about it, and I always say this: if you misunderstood, you'll be mismanaged, and if you're mismanaged, you'll misbehave. So we got a lot of people who are getting to this result, but it's how they were managed and how they were understood. Not everybody colors inside the lines in life, man. See, here's the thing. If you had everybody follow the same recipe, you wouldn't have the iPhone, you wouldn't have Airbnb, you wouldn't have Uber, you wouldn't have Lyft, you wouldn't have these creatives out here saying, hold on, man, I know you got these lines right here, but what about this space on the outside? The world is not colored by numbers.
Right.
And guess what? Last time I checked, somebody put those numbers down for you to make the exact same thing that somebody else made. You're either going to tend to fire, put out a fire, or create fire. And creating fire is the jam that makes you unique. I'm not coloring by numbers all the time. I'm going to create my own pattern. And what if I switched the numbers up and made a 7 or 2 in the whole diagram? What would it look like? Come on, man. What if? See, what if is we always get after kids, particularly young men, by saying, you didn't even think about what could possibly happen. You just did it. You didn't say, what if it goes wrong? Well, the other thing is, what if it goes right? And you gotta, that's something that's a fine line, but it involves trust as well. A young man said to me one time, he said, sir, I like what you're saying because I'm one of those kids that colored outside the lines. And people always discarded me, and people always said that I wasn't going to be any good. They even said I was going to be no count. And no count, I'm like, no count, what does that mean? That means less than 0. How you going to be less than 0? So he said, colored outside the lines. So he said, what would you say to encourage a person who colors outside the lines? I said, make something beautiful. That's what you do. You got space out there. It's called negative space. And that's important too when you understand art. But I think some people, if they've only thought about the numbers and making sure you match the numbers, they don't think about the space that's outside the lines. And I'm glad you said you're one of them people, because there are a lot of people who are changing this world because they color outside the lines, because they're creating what's next, not what is.
Yes, sir.
Right? You don't climb the ladder of success. You create the ladder for somebody else to have success. Come on, man.
Let me tell you,
yeah, man.
Almost got emotional right there.
We gonna cry.
You hit a vein.
We gonna cry. Come on, real men cry. Let's get it. We can get it.
It was interesting. because I was that kid, right? I was that kid that I always got in trouble. I was that kid that I wasn't good at math or all that kind of other stuff because I just didn't get it. So I acted out and stuff. And I actually had one teacher, real story. One teacher told me, she said, "You will never be good," right? And that stuck with me. But one thing that totally changed my life is I picked up, and I've always been a quote guy. I don't know what it is. I've always been a quote, but I picked up a book, and because you're talking about coloring and stuff, and I read this quote, and it totally changed my whole mindset. It said, "Broken crayons."
Oh, come on, man. Let me tell you something. If y'all came on here because you know me, y'all gonna find this, follow this brother, you missing it. This brother is like literally an encyclopedia of one-liners. He picks up these gems. I'm serious, man. You can write probably a whole book. You a fortune cookie, bro. You a fortune cookie. You a fortune cookie, man. Because you got all these, like, and that's the thing about upgrading expertise, folks. For you listening, if you don't read, then you're missing some blessings out there. I mean, if somebody says, what would you do if I had a young man or a child? What would I make sure I do? The number one thing is to read. And you got audiobooks and the rest. I got it. Do both.
Yes.
It's and, not or. But reading, every time I read something, I take away these nuggets. I mean, my iPhone has notes and notes and notes on it about what I've read. As soon as I pick it up, sooner or later, there's a moment that happens, and I go, you know what? There's a quote or there's a thought process that is to change my life, or it might be something that you might want to consider. And I love the fact that, man, I'm telling you, I love to watch a movie with you because you probably know every line in that bad boy.
Man, but you know the thing is that when people are reading and stuff, and just for me, I probably shouldn't say this. We may have educators on here, but I'm not a reader. I can read, but I don't have the attention span to sit down and stop. But I will listen to some audiobooks. I mean, I'll go from there. But this is the thing: when you read a book, don't read what's on the lines. Read what's in between the lines. Because when you're reading in between the lines, then you get into the emotion of the author. You get into the why he said what he said, why she said what she said. There was one book that I read, and the saying that said, the dark days came to make you strong, or maybe just maybe you are already strong, but your dark days made you prove it. When I read that line,
I hope you recording this
between the lines,
because you put the realest of the real back now. Boy, you better say that again.
They said the dark days came to make you strong, or maybe just maybe you were already strong, but the dark days made you prove it. When I got in between the lines of what the author was really saying, the author was really saying is that, look, I've been through struggles, I've been through pain, but that stuff, it formed me into, it was a lady that wrote it, the woman that I am. So with it, when you go all the way back to, what you were saying, as far as, we all have those kids that we're going through. We all have those things and stuff. I got emotional because I kind of went back, but I was just like, no, outside the lines, that's what made me the man that I am today. The hyperactivity and stuff, that's what made me the speaker that I am today. What's the word?
Right.
The always wanting to be in front, right? That's what made me okay when I stepped on the stage. And the thing is that it's because of educators like you, and it's about educators that are all across the United States, not only at Ron Clark, not only here in Florida, but all around. The thing is that once we realize that we're shaping the future, the kids don't have disabilities.
Now
they have
you go, man. Look at you, disabilities versus different abilities. But I'm going to say something, what you just said just now.
Come on.
Man. Look, man. Back in the day, when what was the story where they left was it Hansel and Gretel, whatever, when they left the trail in the woods and somebody ate up all the popcorn or whatever it was and they couldn't get back, right? But what you've done is left a different kind of trail. You got receipts, bro. Because when you talk about being trusted and being someone that they'll put in front of people with authority, you got to be relatable and reliable. And the relatable part comes through the process, right? Again, it comes through the walk that you have. Being, ADHD, being hyperactive, you got receipts because there's a lot of people who are like that. For me, I colored inside the lines in some ways, but I took risks in other ways. Because I've had various forms of trauma in my life, it's helped me understand and be able to relate to people. If I came in the door talking about the same thing I talked about, there's one thing, there was a point in my life where I would have never let somebody know that I ate government cheese. And I say government cheese. I can't even say government cheese. I can't even say it right because it's government cheese.
Gummy.
But there's a point in
Gummy
life
teeth.
where I wouldn't have let nobody know I had that peanut butter, that rice, that jelly with them stems in it and stuff. Because I would have been, because people would come. We had some better sneakers than somebody else because we wanted to look a certain way because we didn't want nobody attacking us, right? But at the end of the day, now it's the thing that helps me connect because there's more pain at the bottom than there's at the top. Now, I don't work with people from the penthouse to the outhouse, right? And in between. And there's the same kind of things when it comes to depression, anxiety, suicide, homicide, all that stuff is happening all over the spectrum. You tend to hear about it more on Live at 5 on the Shade Room because you can see it down the street right here. But the same kind of challenges people have, whether they're in private school, public school, homeschool, they have the same kind of things. And fortunately, in my life, I've been able to walk in them different spaces so that now I can relate to that, right? I taught in private school. I came from public school. I'm working at Ron Clark Academy where I'm doing certain things. I've had enough pain as a young man. There's things that I process in terms of what it means to be a man. Even at my age today, I'm still working on myself under construction, bro. I mean, that's probably what I should have put on my necklace, the construction symbol, because you ain't never going to be finished working until you're done if you're doing it right, right? And I think, honestly, surrounding myself by young fellows like yourself, being able to get out there and inspire, it reminds me, man. It reminds me. You gotta be the mentor for somebody, but then you gotta be mentored by people. And it's not an age thing. Right. It's an experience thing. It's not about age, it's experience, because you can have the same model car that's been a 2023 car, but one of them, or 2022, so you buy a used car, one of them might have 100,000 miles on it, and one may have 15 miles on it. It's the same year, but that car's different. And so the way you rode and what you rode on and what was on the tire, that's why you check the brake pedal, you check all them little gadgets, because you want to know. But I, honestly, I don't like talking to people who hadn't fallen down and gotten back up. I can talk to different people, but I worry about the people who never been under enough stress and enough heat. So one of my things I did as a coach working in a private school is brought that heat, brought that fire. I made them practice outside, then come inside, have the helmets on with the mouthpiece in, and watch video. They're like, why we watching video without helmets on? It's hot, we sweating. Because I want you to be able to focus, because on the field, you're going to have your mouthpiece out, you ain't going to be able to find your stuff, and I'm going to need you, and you ain't going to be ready. So I'm going to teach you how to stay ready, no matter what the climate is. And I'm going to make it awful. I'm going to make it thunderstorm every day on this practice field. I don't care what the clouds say. This is what we're going to say. So in life, when it's raining, you're going to be like, I ain't got no umbrella, but I'm going to keep on walking. We good, because we'll dry off in a minute.
I want you to brag on yourself a little bit, because you gave me some homework. You sent me 2 podcasts, and I listened to the entire one. And let me tell you something. He said, I have receipts. You have receipts, because the game that y'all played with a team that beat the brakes off of y'all over and over and over and over and over again. But the game went into overtime. Now I want you to finish it, right? The game went into overtime off of it was a pass that hit the ground. Everybody stopped. I want you to tell that story, because the thing is that those boys in the back. So when they faced their Goliath, they were able to perform. Now tell that story.
When I was a lacrosse coach, one of the things I wanted to do is help our kids get recruited for college. So we went out and played all these nationally ranked teams. Now, we're from Chattanooga, Tennessee, so nobody respected lacrosse in Tennessee. It's all Baltimore, Long Island, Philadelphia, New York. And this was earlier in time where, again, now lacrosse is everywhere, but not even Atlanta. Nobody's respected. So I was like, okay, we're about to play a nationally ranked team with, I think, 11 or 13 Division I recruits on it. And we had some pretty good players on our team. But what I did is I said, all right, man, we're going to go out here and play them. And they were crushing us, right? They beat everybody. They were undefeated up to the time, and they beat everybody by at least 10 goals. And these teams from the South would try to play them. And they were like, child's play, pop, pop, pop. And then I said, all right, man, we're going to come with something real. We're going to come with the sledgehammer, and we're going to come with that buzzsaw, and we're going to come with keep chopping wood. And what happened is I always got kids, whenever they're hard at the most difficult time, I got them to close their eyes and think about the last time they did something great in that game. And remember the moment. Remember the moment. Don't worry about the scoreboard. And I told them, I said, if you look at that scoreboard, I'm going to sit you on the sideline. What you look at is each other. You look at each other. Quit looking at the scoreboard, because you ain't going to get more time back. But you ain't going to get more time back with these guys who are beside you, too, especially you seniors. So let's ride with them and quit worry about what everybody else kind of horse they got. And what we did is we got out there on the field. We were in overtime. We were fortunate enough. We made a comeback because they were beating us, and literally it was like 8 seconds left in the game, and we scored like 2 goals in like maybe it was 12 seconds. I don't know what it was, but it was bam, bam. Lacrosse, you could do that. But we go into double overtime, and literally it's tie score. My kids is I said, I know the whistle blows. Everybody stand still until the whistle blows. I said, you can move without the whistle blowing. I said, y'all see, we colored outside the lines. See, I put them Jedi mind tricks on them because it'll mess the other team up. Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? They're not standing still like everybody else. So anyway, my son takes the ball and the whistle blows, and I call something I call smoke. And smoke means to stand in front of the goalie so he can't see the ball. So when we shoot it, that it'll bounce and he won't see it. So he may miss it and it goes in the goal. Because it was almost a lucky play because we had like 3 seconds or something crazy by that time. So my son gets the ball. And I said, smoke, smoke. And so the guys are running around inside trying to get in front of the goalie because you can't just stand there. You got to look like you're trying to get the ball. And literally, he basically goes to shoot it. So he shoots it as hard as he can. And the guy playing defense, stick went up right, matched his, and it hit his stick and went right down on the ground right in front of him. So instead of my son panicking, he picked the ball up real quick. And because everybody stopped when it happened, they thought the game was over. He throws it all the way about 40 yards almost. 25 yards inside to one of our guys who catches it. He puts the ball in the net, and the place goes bananas because now momentum is on our side. They're like, how can David beat Goliath?
That's it.
That's because the Goliath he fell asleep. See, our guys kept moving when they stopped moving. They thought the game was over because of what they used to doing. See, they had deja vu. They done seen it before, so they saw something new in a familiar way. We had Vujade. We saw something familiar in a new way. We said, yo, man, we had Vujade. We saw the moment differently because, first of all, we ain't never been in that moment versus a team like that. When teams are always in that moment, they go, this is going to go like it went last time. Not today, homie. So he threw that ball in there. We go to overtime. We end up winning it in double overtime. We end up beating a nationally ranked team. It was a shot heard around the world. How could this team roll in from Tennessee? That's because we rolled on some 20s, man. Everybody else was riding on 13s and 14s. We came in there with some different rims, man. We said we gonna do about plane, train, or automobile, but that's the idea. We taught our kids. We had already thought about the moment. We knew we were gonna run smoke if we ever got in a situation like that because we rehearsed it. But what we didn't do is panic. My son picked that ball up so fast, it almost shocked me because it was like me turning the light on in that room when the lights went out. The light came on for him when the lights went out for everybody else. So they were standing still. And him and Zach Ward, who's the guy that scored the goal, they were on the same page. They're like, man, it ain't over until somebody takes me off this field. Boom. But that's what being resilient is about. And that's why teaching these kids and putting them in the moments where the light goes out. You know, I ride with my kids. Yeah, I can afford air conditioning. But sometimes, like I said, I turn it off. And I said, this is what's going to be. What you going to do now? You know, that's why my son, he coaches kids right now. Sometimes he'll take a cold shower just because he said, Dad, I'm just trying to stay tough. I'm just trying to do something to make sure that I'm fortified, that my stress inoculation, so I don't worry about if tomorrow's going to be as planned. That changes things. So for the folks out there, when they talk about being resilient, some of the things to involve your kids in things like sports. I don't care if they're a great athlete. They're part of a team. Somebody's got expectations that are different than what they are. So they got to be accountable to somebody other than their mama or their dad or their granny. And another thing is to make sure that they're in a position where they can lead somebody, where they can take care of even their little brother, their little sister, because guess what? Being accountable for somebody other than yourself helps you develop empathy. And to be a great leader, you got to develop empathy.
Right.
So I think that's something that anybody can do. We took care of our younger brothers. I didn't know it was developing empathy. I was just mad because I didn't want to take them to the basketball court with me. But
I'm just mad.
Be a caregiver. When my kids are born, you didn't teach me how to change a diaper. You didn't teach me how to heat up something and cook and all this. I was game ready because of the adversity that I faced. So if we want these kids to be game ready, you know, a little bit of fire ain't gonna matter. Look, most recipes said let the water boil first before you put the stuff in there. So try to help them have a higher boiling point, but make sure you mitigate it by helping them understand why the water's boiling in the first place.
And so much, or when I say so much, because I personally, you were telling the story on the podcast, I was in the game, painted the picture. I'm sitting there, I'm ducking, and people looking at me like, what? I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm listening to something right now. But there's a couple of things that you said also in the podcast and also here. And I want to reiterate to the people that are here. Once again, guys, we are with Mr. Troy Kemp. Make sure you follow him down below. His tag is down below. And guys, if you guys are enjoying this, definitely make sure you tap your hearts and everything. We said we was going to go for an hour. We up on it, but we may just go a little bit overtime. We're talking about overtime. We may go a little bit overtime. But there's something that you said that really helped me out. Don't look at the scoreboard. Scoreboard for people is different. Some people's scoreboard is what's in Wells Fargo, what's in Bank of America, what's in Chase Bank. People look at that scoreboard, and when the points ain't all adding up, they're like, how are we gonna win, right? For the teachers, sometimes their scoreboard are the report cards. They're looking at the scoreboard. My kids did bad on the test and stuff, and I must be a bad teacher. You're looking at the scoreboard. Let me tell you something. You can look at the scoreboard, but understand this. When you look at the scoreboard, also look up just a little bit, because above the score is the time. If you still got time, you can still change the game. If you still got time, you can still change your life. You still got time. You can do different things as long as, don't worry about the scoreboard. You got time to build up the bank account. If you don't worry about the scoreboard, the test scores. No. If you got 100 days out of the year, no, you have 80 more days to make impact on those kids and stuff. And when you told those kids, don't look at the scoreboard, be focused on the time, what happened was they had an awakening moment that you were coaching them over and over and over again. But finally, the light bulb just, this is what coach was talking about. High stress. Hey, everybody else froze, but they picked it up, they threw it, and as a coach,
this is what I'm saying.
That's what I've been trying to teach you the
whole
whole time.
about the scoreboard, and this is human nature. The first thing you look at is what score somebody else has instead of what you got. See, I'm gonna take it one more. Let's take it to church and we're gonna do it. I know we're on that day. I done dropped the thing out here and all this. Listen, man, when you look at a scoreboard, that's the natural inclination, and that's the biggest problem. See, when we were little, man, we had 5 boys, 1 girl. My mom would pour something in the cup, and the first thing we do is looking to see who got as much Kool-Aid as we got. Oh, you got more than me. My one brother crying at the table. You're like, why you crying for, boy? He got more than me. So when you look at the scoreboard, you look at the home team and the visiting team, and most people focus more on how far they're behind. They don't even look at what they got. They look at what they don't have. And see, that's the thing about a scoreboard, and the fact that people are constantly judging and measuring what somebody else has. Oh, I can't afford what somebody else can afford, but look what you got. You got a beautiful life. You got things that they don't have. You may have some peace that they don't have. So again, I understand the natural inclination to measure yourself by somebody else's score, but that's the problem with it. And I can tell you this, I guarantee you, no matter what the score was, I've done this multiple times with kids. I had to teach them not to look at it. I said, look at each other, because until when you play through the whistle, because that time will cause you to panic too. I go, no, just keep it moving. Because if you think you got less time, that brain will lock up, and that stress will create a situation where you become a fool, right? Lack of oxygen, lack of time will make you get crazy, right? And so what I tell people is we're going to practice to make sure our capacity and oxygen is good, but then we're going to know the time, because as long as that heart's beating and that guy across from you that you committed to, that you said you're going to do your best for, that you're going to be tired and proud for, we got time, baby. I will tell you when we out of time.
Yeah.
But right now, don't even look up. Just win the one-on-one, the 1-second battles. Win the 1-second battles and let it add up to a minute and let it add up to an hour. That's how we rock. And I think that's when we wake up, that's how we got to get. Win the 1-second battle, man.
Let me tell you something, y'all. I knew this was going to be some fire. But the wonderful thing is that once you get with individuals that can ignite fire, man, I'm ready to go do a speech right now. But the amazing thing is that don't be afraid to get outside of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to. And because I'm going to tell you something very honestly, I'm going to be transparent right now. I was afraid to send the DM. I'm like, man, I said, these guys out here, man, these guys are big timers and blah, blah. But I was like, you know what? I said, I'm just going to shoot my shot. Let me just shoot my shot and say, he may answer, right? And I'm so glad that you did, because this part right here, this part that we're talking about scoring and talking about time and talking about other person's score, that part right there, that helped me out a lot. That helped me out because as a speaker, I'm looking at the checks that other people are getting, right? I'm looking at the gigs that other people are getting. It's like, look, stop looking at the other people's score.
That's right.
Focus on the game you playing, man. Don't worry
That's
about
right.
it. Your comeback
That's
moment
right.
is coming.
It's the number one challenge with social media and why we have more stress and anxiety is that we keep looking in the window at somebody else's house. It's kind of like this, man. At the end of the day, if you're sitting down at a restaurant next to somebody and you got your eyes on their plate the whole time, first of all, your food getting cold, right? And then, and if you're one of them restaurants, they're gonna take your plate. And you're gonna look up and ain't ate nothing because you're spending all your time looking at what somebody else got on their plate, man. And I'm telling you, that's where the misery comes from. The misery comes from your eyes on somebody else's prize, not on yours, right? And I think that to me has been the number one challenge even growing up, is always saying, how do you measure somebody else by somebody else? Look, man, guy got me, man, number one, I know that. And I got some other people. See, I don't ride a bike, I drive a bus. Right. I got spaces in the back, man. Anybody want to ride with me? Even when I drop stuff on social media, people are like, why are you doing this when you're working out? That's when my mind's clear. It's something that anything that I share, I've shared with somebody else at a different time. And I'm like, yo, this is one of them things where if it can help that person, it can help one more person. And it might be something that I've gone through personally. Man, I've been through a lot. I got scars on my head, on my back, on my shoulder. You know, I got one new one on my arm. I don't even know where that came from. But point being, I'm good with that because I see how it's healing. And my thing is, I'd rather be able to see, even with people. I had a young man one time crying in front of me, man, because he couldn't find a clean shirt to wear. Then he was late for class and he didn't go to class, and they were like, go find him, because I was in a boarding school. He down there crying, sitting in the clothes basket, down in the laundry room. He kind of hiding because he wasn't prepared for class. But he was crying because he's like, I don't have a shirt. I'm like, he got a shirt. He was just overwhelmed. And he didn't want to say he was overwhelmed. And the first thing I said to him is this, man. I said, I appreciate you trusting me with your tears, man. I said, you got permission to be yourself around me. And I appreciate those tears. I said, because if you weren't crying, I wouldn't be able to see you, man. I would see something you put together. I would see Robo you. I would see Avatar you, but I need to see the real you. And I think for a lot of people, they're afraid to cry because they feel like I'm upset, but I'm going to put too much weight on somebody, or I'm not going to be a man. And I'm like, look here, man, just like them crayons that you talk about, them broken crayons, man, they still color. And we got parts that are broken with us that we can still color with, we can still move people with, and we can still get better. And that's the thing. I think the thing that I've learned the most, if you look at the biggest takeaway, is that things that I used to hide from, I lead with them. Because what that does is that makes me real. Nobody wants to sit there with a person in the lab that's never been out there, never walked a mile, never had to, I'm a person that's probably been through more things than I even care to admit. And like I said, I'm a work in progress because I'm kind of figuring it out. But my goal is to help other people figure it out. Well, you want to help people be better than you were. So what's that? What's the Robitussin right there? But I don't just want to serve the cough syrup. I want to eliminate the cold. It's different.